to know that Representative Mari Levitt is here also. Just
Okay.
FYI, she sponsored the BEAM Act,
Okay.
which is on the governor's desk.
Okay.
Very much. Please have a seat. Counsel, are you ready to proceed? Are we on the record?
We are, Your Honor. Yes, I am.
Thank you.
Your Honor, after seeing, hearing, and experiencing the state's presentation, the family's comments, everything that's gone on thus far, there's no question, and I've said it before in sentencings, that these types of cases are probably the hardest that a defense attorney has to deal with. You know, the reason they're the toughest is because typically in these types of cases, you're dealing with good parties on both sides. Parties that have lives, families, and because of a bad decision, a tragic decision, there's a ripple effect that affects so many people. Your Honor, this case has been highly publicized. It's been in the media. There's been a lot of public comment on it. One of the things I want to address that I've heard more often than not is that Mr. Jones has no remorse, that there's been no remorse shown by Mr. Jones throughout this case. Your Honor, I've gotten an opportunity to know Mr. Jones. I've been able to speak with him, go through things with him, and I've gotten to know him for the last year plus. But I'll never forget the first time that I met Mr. Jones, 18 years old, at Harborview Medical Center, in a room by himself, unable to be around family, with no information about what's going on. And I walk in and I introduce myself. Jones, I'm your attorney. And the first thing that he looks up and asks me from that bed is, did I hurt anybody? That was the first thing on his mind. Your Honor, that's when I had the toughest, probably one of the toughest conversations I've ever had. I had to tell Mr. Jones, yes, you hurt 6 people, 4 of them passed away. It was in that immediate moment, Your Honor, that Mr. Jones deflated. If there was a hole within that bed that he was sitting in, I think he would have fallen right through it. The amount of sorrow and remorse that I saw in Mr. Jones at that very moment, I'll never forget. The tears that welled up in his eyes, the shock and inability to speak. It's something that I hope nobody else ever has to experience. And it's not to diminish. I'm not telling this to diminish what everybody else has gone through, because what they have gone through is unsurmountable. But I want to set the record straight that Mr. Jones has had remorse throughout this entire process. Not only did I see it that day, but I saw it carry throughout this entire process. He understands that he made the biggest, most tragic decision of his life. And we've talked about how he wishes day in and day out that he could undo that day. But he also understands that there's nothing that he can do to undo what he's done. The lives that he's affected, the fact that the only thing that he can do going forward is to try and make a change, and a positive one at that. Your Honor, in terms of the sentencing recommendation, as the state put out, this is a recommendation, an agreed joint recommendation for 210 months. And I did put quite a bit of legal authority and explanation as to why youthfulness needs to be considered. And I don't want to belabor that point, Your Honor. The court is, I'm sure, well aware of the science, the fact that before you reach 25, the brain has not been fully formed, the fact that there are issues with foreseeability and how young people process their actions. And so not only has that gone through the court systems, but there's a lot of case law, and the court is well aware of that. But what I do want to highlight when I talk about youthfulness, Your Honor, is I want to take us all back when we were teenagers in our early 20s and think about the poor decisions that some of us made. The decisions that, although we made them at a young age, we still have grown up to be positive individuals, successful people in our community, productive members of society. And that's what I believe that Chase Jones will be able to do. He made the most tragic decision of his life. He has seen and heard the ripple effect that it has had not just on those 6 individuals that were in that vehicle, but on everybody else that's here. The people that have reached out to the court, the public that has made comments in the media. He has seen the effect that it has had on our society as a whole. And I think in looking at an individual that was 18, now 19 at the time, that's a lot to take in. But it's somebody that has internalized it and processed it and is going to be doing the only thing that he can moving forward, and that's to have a positive impact moving forward. Your Honor, 18, 19, there's a lot of time for him to change. There's a lot of time for him to have learned from his decision. There's a lot of time to become a good member moving forward. So, Your Honor, I would ask that the court follow this agreed recommendation, as I do believe it's appropriate in this situation. 17 years, 17 plus years, 210 months is a substantial amount of time. An amount of time that can give anybody an opportunity to reflect, change, and hopefully move on in a positive stance. We think back to 2008. That's 17 years ago. I ask, think about the world back then, our lives back then, and how much change has occurred since. Now, Mr. Jones will have that opportunity, if the court follows the recommendation, to reflect and understand the need to change. And in 17 years, he will come out a different individual, somebody that has carried the weight of his actions, has learned from those actions, and will be able to have the ability to move forward to help others not make those same poor decisions. Your Honor, there's no words, and you heard many individuals from the families say that there's nothing that can bring back their loved ones. What I'm asking the court to do is follow the agreed upon recommendation. Allow Mr. Jones the opportunity to serve his 210 months, and then show these families that he has made those changes, that he has done everything he can to give them solace in his actions moving forward. Your Honor, I think the first step Mr. Jones has already taken. He's probably taken the most mature step of his young life. He came before this court 3 weeks ago and pled guilty to every felony count. At no point during our time over the last year did Mr. Jones ever say, "This isn't fair. Can you give me less time? Can we figure out a way to fight this?" He's acknowledged throughout this process that there will be consequences for his decision, and he is taking accountability and embracing those consequences, and will serve the sentence that this court imposes. We ask that it be the agreed recommendation that the parties have put forward.
Thank you. Counsel, I neglected to ask you, excuse me, I did receive a handful, quite a few letters on behalf of Mr. Jones. I wasn't sure if anybody was speaking on his behalf, and it's obviously perfectly fine if folks do want to, and it's equally fine if they do not.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, I know that my client's parents would like to be able to make a statement. However, after talking to them, both on the break and leading up to this, they have written a statement that they'd ask me to read for them.
A statement for you to read?
Yes.
Okay. And I apologize, is that part of the materials that have been provided, or is this separate?
No, it's separate, Your Honor.
Thank you.
And Your Honor, this comes from my client's parents, Dan and Kimberly Jones. Mr. Hudson, Mr. and Mrs. Wilcoxon, Mr. and Mrs. Brown, we want to start by expressing our sincere apologies from the bottom of our hearts for the loss of Matilda, Eloise, Andrea, and Buster that were caused by the senseless and selfless decisions our son made that day. No doubt this is an unimaginable pain, and if we could take their places, we would not hesitate. We pray for all of you every day. We pray for God to take us instead. We have grieved for your losses nonstop and will continue for the rest of our days. We have visited the crash site to lay flowers and place a memorial. We have watched all the news and media clips following this tragic event, and the forgiveness that some of you have bestowed upon our son is incredibly gracious. We never expected to hear anything like that, and we will never forget it. We never intended to ask for forgiveness. We can't imagine how difficult it might be. We have had a lot of time to reflect on what kind of parents we have been and where we went wrong, leading to our child's careless actions that caused great pain. Although we can't turn back time, we are finding it difficult to forgive ourselves for the mistakes we made along the way that led to this tragedy. This will haunt us forever. We regret that we haven't been able to contact any of you to express our condolences and apologies or visit their final resting places until now due to legal reasons. We still don't know how to navigate this and are unsure what to do. We hope that perhaps something good will come out of this somehow. Mr. Hudson, we apologize to you and your children for the loss of your wife and their mother. We also apologize to you for the physical pain that Nolan and Charlotte are going through. Mr. and Mrs. Wilcoxon, we apologize to you and your other children for the loss of Matilda and Eloise. Mr. and Mrs. Brown, we apologize to you and the other children for the loss of Buster. Sincerely, Daniel and Kimberly Jones. Your Honor, when it's appropriate, I do know that Mr. Jones would like to attempt to address the court.
Okay, Mr. Jones, you're not required to say anything. If you wish to say something before sentence is imposed, right now would be the time to do that. It is completely up to you. And counsel, you can go ahead and sit down if you wish.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Take your time, Mr. Jones.
Your Honor, my client would ask that I read it on his behalf.
I understand.
Mr. Hudson, Mr. and Mrs. Wilcoxon, Mr. and Mrs. Brown, I'm so incredibly sorry for the losses you've suffered and the damages I've dealt. I apologize for the unimaginable pain and suffering I've caused your families. I made poor and selfish choices by ignoring my problems, by speeding. Truth is, I was addicted to speed, but not because of an adrenaline rush or excitement or any of that. I used speed like a tool to ignore my problems. I used the pedal to put all my emotions into which turned out to be the biggest mistake of my life. I never thought I could cause such a tragedy. Not only did this leave me with physical scars, but the mental scars every time I have been in a car since I feel terrified that any moment something could happen. I remember the accident. I remember the pain and how my body looked and how long it took before I could walk again. I have no idea what it's been like for all of you, but I can only hope you got all the support and help you need. I don't know what it's like to lose someone close to you, let alone a family member, and I can't even begin to imagine the pain of it all. I know some of you have said you forgive me, and I'm not sure how, but that does mean so much to me, more than you know. I thank you for that. I'm so sorry for the losses I've made you suffer. I take full responsibility and accept the punishment given to me. And with time, I will find a way to make something positive out of this and help others who choose this behavior. I wish there was a way to go back and change things, but I can't. And it will haunt me for the rest of my life. While I don't expect this letter to make a difference in how you feel about me, I owe it to you and myself. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Does that conclude the defense?
It does, Your Honor.
All right.